the audience,
Hmm.
because it's easy to stay in our heads. I do this all the time. In fact, I prefer to stay in my head. It's just where I
Me
like to
too. Don't
live.
worry. That's my thing.
But it sounds like um, the real common denominator for everyone that fits in the category of being a human, a person, right? We all have anxiety. So, but the one common denominator that would work for everyone, for me, sometimes if I stay in my head, I can get myself out of that state. But for some people, that may not be the case. Once you get into that loop, once you get into that spiral where now you're feeling things, now your body is in the room and it's acting up, and you get the butterflies in the stomach and you get the sweaty palms, and now you're going through all this somatic experience. Is it safe to say that the one thing anyone can do is just find the strength to go move? Because I think that's very, very important. I
Correct.
think if we can give people the hope that no matter, and of course, if you need to seek medical help, obviously seek medical help. This is not in replacing medical help, but moving, getting some sort of movement, whether it's dancing, walking, running, exercising, whatever the case may be, singing. I do a lot of singing, playing a musical instrument, getting some sort of
Humming too
motion.
stimulates the vagus nerve. Yeah. Humming.
Exactly.
Mhm.
That could be the beginning, or could set the ball rolling for that anxiety to start coming down.
Yes, I love how you package this in a little bow for me because I tend to go off on tangents. But the process that I do with my clients, and I know what a lot of people do, is you can't think yourself. You I don't hold on. Ugh, back up. You cannot solve a problem with just your thought. You have to solve it with the unconscious mind. And so, yes, reframing is a thing, but how can we reframe when our thoughts are racing and we're like almost in panic? So, to do that, you move your body, you expand the energy, you blow up, in quotes, blow off steam. You blow off steam and then you sit down and then you're able to do something with it much easier. You're able to work with it much easier because the thoughts are calmer and you've been able to process on whatever type of movement that you're doing. And maybe the problem went away by the time you moved your body as well.
So let me throw something at you, and again, always keep me
Sure.
honest. Um, I've come to, and I cannot for the life of me find where. I've been looking for quite some time where I read this. I know I read it somewhere, or maybe I dreamed about it. I don't know, but it makes so much sense to me. I would like for it to be true, but I don't know if it is. So it seems to be that there is this ladder, okay, where thoughts come and go. Our thoughts are not ours. People would like to believe they are. No, they're not. They come and go. They're just passing through the compass of your mind, right? And when a
Mm-hmm.
thought passes through that compass and we indulge in that thought long enough, it seems that could develop a feeling. And if I take that feeling and I indulge it long enough, that can become an emotion. And if I indulge in an emotion long enough, that becomes a mood. And if I indulge in that mood long enough, that becomes a personality trait. And then you're saying, this is just the way I am. I'm just an anxious person, right?
Mm.
And now we come to this acceptance, right? And in my mind,
Yes.
again, me staying in my mind, I say, well, we weren't born that way. We learned to become that way, right? So I should be able to walk that ladder backwards, to start peeling that onion back from this person. Why am I this way? Why am I this way? Does that go back to an emotion? I feel, I have this emotion, and then that emotion comes back to this feeling. And then that feeling, where is the source of that? That actually can be mapped down to a thought or something that I learned, something somebody told me long ago. This talk with the inner child. Um,
Hmm.
is that a valid breakdown that is useful to us? Or am
You
I a left
just
field?
described, nope, you just described exactly what I do.
Okay.
in a
Great.
nutshell. Yes, you were 100% on board. So the one thing that I love that you said, by the way, is that there okay, first of all, there's no anxiety gene. They have not proven an anxiety gene
Not yet,
in
at
in
least, right? So
in
we can.
genetics. Not yet. They may. Yeah, they may. Whatever, but they have not yet. All I do know is that a lot of anxiety is a learned behavior. And this is based on my experience with my clients. Now, there is a great book when it comes to genes, um, and it being passed down. There from an epigenetic standpoint, there is a lot of research coming out on what types of traits are you carrying, especially from personality traits. His name, Dr. Mark Woolen, and it didn't start with you. It didn't start with you. It's a good book. Yeah, it's a good book. And then there's also the habit loop, right? There's the that anxiety can be a habit. And by the way, even if we can all agree that some of anxiety is a learned behavior, and sometimes it's observing mom worry about XYZ thing. Um, I do something with my clients and here from a hypnotherapy standpoint where we regress back to what is that root cause of the belief
Hmm.
that, and you said the thought, the belief, that ladder, we're going up the ladder and that came from somewhere. It came from an event or somewhere. And so when we go back, oftentimes what I see with my clients, especially when it comes to anxiety, is they're observing a parent. It's not even a parent telling them something. They're observing, depending on the situation of mom's a worrier. Oh, I'm a worrier. I like to worry. And there's there's some aspects from childhood too. One of them is growing up too early, having to take care of all your siblings. I'm responsible. So now that's a lot of weight on a child's shoulders, having to grow up too much. And that part of you always, you mentioned inner child, that part of you always stays with you as you grow up. And of course there's other certain types of, like, if someone's gone through abuse, of course that can create an activated nervous system that stays with you and a feeling that you're unsafe. And so both the body and the mind, um, combined, storing all this information, all this capacity. And so you're, to loop back to what you were saying, 100% right. We kind of start from a like a bottom up approach where we got to get comfortable enough with ourselves to start looking inward and say, what the heck is going on here? And a good start for that is listening to the body. Like I said, it's called a felt sense, but listening to what is your body. If you could imagine your body's your unconscious part of you, that back of your mind that's just trying to speak, or even your intuition, just trying to speak to you and tell you that something's off. Just ask, what are you trying to tell me? What's your story? And then you can start to deconstruct, well, I know that this isn't true, so how do I trace it back to? And of course, there's so many different therapy. I mean, cognitive behavioral therapy, hypnotherapy is great for this too. Other different types of therapy, combining both the mind and the body over time to get it in a state of confidence and calm.
Oh, this is wonderful. I am excited about this because again, the common denominator in that ladder going up and down is action. Is to actually stand up and act as you
And it's
deconstruct.
uncomfortable to act, but
Right. But the
that's the
brain,
change.
yeah, exactly. But the brain likes that novelty, right? So
Mm-hmm.
as we get into doing better, we start feeling better. And as we start
Yes.
feeling better, we start living better, right? But it begins with the doing, right? But to do it, you have to become the observer, which is the first point you made, which is perception, how we perceive. Then we go about, okay, so how do we change that perception? How do we get into that process of reframing, right? It's a big word, reframing. Well, that reframing happens by exposing ourselves to new opportunities outside of our comfort zone, challenge ourselves a little bit. So we're almost out of time. What would you like to leave the audience with when it comes to anxiety? Uh, what are your final thoughts?
Final thoughts on anxiety. One big thing is that there are so many resources. There are so many resources. And as you probably have gathered, It's usually not a one size, one thing, one special method, one special technique. The cool thing about anxiety relief is it's already things that help you be a healthier person inside and out. You could listen to one of Raphael's exercise, or the benefits of exercise episode. I don't know if you've done one of those yet, but and you'll notice it's the same thing. It's just about being a healthier you inside and out, and all of these things help. Nutrition, certain types of nutrition. I'm sure Dr. Andrew Huberman has done an episode on nutrition and anxiety relief, like
Indeed.
ashwagandha, magnesium, omega-3s, like all the things that can naturally help. Eliminating caffeine, like, so it is a puzzle piece, but having the right team can help you eliminate anxiety. And the second thing too is, if you're thinking I'm just an anxious person, take a moment to step into that observer and know that anything can be solved and anything can be worked on. I have a true belief, like at a deep cellular level, that everything can always be improved with any person. And so give yourself that grace and that self-care to say, hey, I can improve. I can work on releasing this, and you don't have to put yourself in that box.
That's wonderful. Shannon, can you let people know where they can find you and your work?
Sure. The best place right now to find me is probably to go to my website, shannonrollins.com. There are some resources on there, free resources, and then also my hypnosis store. There is an anti-anxiety hypnotic programming on there as well. If you want to take a moment to step into that and help from that body mind perspective as well.
Well, Shannon, you mentioned gratitude. I am grateful for you. Thank you for
I'm
being
grateful for you too.
thank you for being my guest today, and we will see each other very soon.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks so much for having me.